Recording. La, 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 la. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. Right about there. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, that's good.
Woohoo! Testing, testing.
Hello.
Ja,
You guys,
hello.
you guys should do this before we. Never mind. Anyway,
No, it'll be
Yeah,
funnier
we're
if
just-
Austin has to listen to this while editing.
Great.
I agree.
I'm
Okay,
letting him in. I'm letting him know how to do it. La 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 la.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather.
You know those
Oh, is
cards
that
are just
how that
plastic,
works?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, clap. Clap replaces 4, and here we go. 1, 2, 3.
It never sounds like it's going to be anywhere near working either.
Austin's
You know,
all
it's-
over it. I'm not concerned.
Yeah,
That actually sounded perfectly in sync to me. So
really? You sounded like a solid second after me.
Yeah. Josh was looking at me, still counting after I had clapped.
okay, whatever.
So this is going to be a segment that we're going to drop in the middle, so we don't have to worry about doing the intro and stuff now. We're just going to say, hey, we're here with Zach the Ref or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly what we're gonna do.
Okay, would you like to do that?
Sure, I'll do that. Hey, we're here with Zach the Ref, username Morbuzon. I decided to add a little something to the Morbu. I hope you like that. Just you can keep it. It's yours. He's a licensed referee by the USSF, and he's going to go over what he thinks were the best, the worst calls of the weekend, and we're going to ask him some questions, and that's going to be a segment, and hopefully you guys like it. So, starting off, your best call, Zach.
Yeah, so the best call, this week I didn't feel like there were a lot of like really big calls made. There certainly wasn't anything that had me jumping out of my seat like, yeah, good call. There were no Alan Kelly moments, if you will, if you want to go back to week one.
Wow.
But I think the best call of the weekend, just thinking about the one that really had to be made, was referee Uncle's red card in Seattle versus Houston. Pineda's studs into the chest of whatever Houston player it was. I don't actually know any of the players on that team.
It's okay. They're not important.
No one does. Not your problem.
Wait, I don't know. That's a flagrant disrespect there. I don't know what the podcasting equivalent of a yellow is, but
Anyway, my favorite thing about that call was actually how similar it was to the red that went against Dallas when they were playing Seattle last week. It was like the exact same challenge, the high boot into the torso, and I just thought it was like some great karmic. I don't know, that Seattle was on both sides of that, and it was handled the same way by the referees 2 weekends in a row.
So the funny thing about that call is that Pete agreed that it was a red, and James agreed that it was a red, and everybody on Reddit agreed that it was a red. The only people who didn't agree that it was a red, for whatever reason, were the most homerific announcers in MLS. I'm not talking about Seattle's, I'm talking about Houston's announcers, thinking it wasn't a red, which I just thought completely and totally bizarre. But I'm glad you agreed. Your worst.
Yeah, worst. Well, I think you guys all know this is going to be in Colorado. So it was that little run of play at the 57, 58-minute mark, and 3 things happened. 3 big things happened, like in quick succession. So we'll walk through it. The first thing, the ball's coming up the right flank. It goes up, goes to someone. It pops up. He takes a weird touch off his left boot, and it pops up and hits him in the hand. Right? You guys remember that? The handball.
Yes.
No call there, and I think that's a good no call, because there's no way that's deliberate when the ball takes that weird of a bounce off what was going to be like a settling touch. No way he expected that. Good no call. Then the ball goes in. It falls to someone who gets fouled, and then is collected by a player who is coming from an offside position. Now what happened is the referee saw the penalty, whistled it, pointed at the spot, and then the AR saw the offside and raised its flag. Both of them were correct at that point because there was an offside infraction and there was a penalty. However, I don't really know how to say his name, but I'm going to try. Fotis Bazakos, the referee of the match, and his assistant on the near side, who is Chris Strickland. What they didn't do was get the order of events correct. And they, as we all know, what actually happened was the foul was first and then the offside infraction. But what they decided was that the offside came before the foul that would have caused the penalty, and got the whole thing wrong just because of that. They got everything that happened totally correct, except for the order in which they occurred. And that's one of those things where if they had just taken, 30 seconds to talk about it between them, they could have figured it out and got it right.
Yeah, I was going to say, is there anything that, like in the rule book or in the laws of the game, that was tying the head ref's decision making, like tying his hands behind his back, like there's nothing preventing him from going to his AR and saying, well, your offside call is correct, but my penalty call is first, so we're going to call a penalty. Like that. Is there anything like that?
That's what should happen.
Okay.
The referee can change his decision until play has been restarted.
Okay.
So as long as they haven't restarted play, and he can stop that for as long as he wants, they can take the time to talk about what happened and in what order, and then get the call right. And that's what should have happened. And watching it, I watched that sequence like 5 times, just rewinding on MLS Live, and it doesn't look like there's any dedicated communication between the referee and his assistant to really make sure they get it right. I would have liked. Sorry, go ahead.
Would that have been a difficult assessment for their head ref to make, even with communicating with his AR?
No, I don't think so. I think if they sat down and talked about it and really thought about it, even for just 30 seconds, they would have been able to figure it out. Because he saw the foul.
Mm-hmm.
He saw that happen, and he knew that was before the offside player ran up and collected the ball. So I think it's just one of those things where they needed to take more time and really think about it.
Well, it seems to me that that's almost the more egregious mistake. You can forgive, not getting the events correct because we're all human, and the refs have a pretty tough job consistently at having a lot to keep track of and a lot of rules to be aware of, and they've got dossiers on players, and they've got all this stuff going through their head. But the biggest mistake to me is that if, as Ian said, if there's nothing handcuffing him to making such a quick decision and getting play started again, then the biggest mistake is not taking the time to figure it out. And I don't know how, personally, I follow which refs are playing or are officiating any given game, so I feel like I have a pretty good handle on the majority of the most consistent refs that we see in MLS. Mm-hmm. I don't remember having heard this name before. I'm not sure if he is new to our league this year or what it was, but it's not like one of the recognizable. It's not a Toledo. It's not a Salazar. It's not a Stott. It's not Geiger. It's not anybody that we see on a regular basis. Yeah, exactly. Elfat. Yeah.
No, that's true. Yeah, I wasn't familiar with this referee, and like yourself, I keep pretty decent track of him. I did hear from I know the announcers were saying something about the head of pro being in the building, so maybe he was just nervous because he knew he was getting watched by the head guy. But I agree. That's the egregious mistake, is when they see all 3 things that happened correctly, but then just get the order wrong. And that's one of the things they tell refs at every level is take your time. There's nothing forcing you to make a quick decision. Take your time, get it right.
All right, so we've got about a minute left with you, Zach. Are there any pressing questions from you, Josh or Pete? I forgot your name for a second, Josh. I'm sorry.
Oh wow, thanks. We've only been doing this for 3 years now.
Yeah, but when we count how many times you've been on in the last year, it condenses you down a little bit.
Oh, that hurts.
Pressing questions.
Yeah. I guess this isn't really a question, but I have not been particularly impressed with Elfat in the past, and he was the ref in the Portland-Dallas game, which was a fairly rough game, and I thought had a lot of moments that could have led to could have led to game-changing refereeing decisions for the better or the worse. But I actually thought that he kept it in control pretty well. I don't know if you watched that game and if you had an opinion on that particular match, but he's someone who I have not been super impressed with in the past, but who I thought actually did a good job this time.
No, I thought he did that. I thought he handled that game really well. There were a lot of fouls. I think there were something like 30 fouls in the game.
Yeah.
But he kept it all under control. There was nothing. I didn't think he really missed a card, except maybe the elbow into Ridgewell's face. I thought that could have been red.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I said Elfath and I meant Salazar.
Yeah, that's right. It was Salazar.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody said Elfath, and I was just like, yeah, a guy I don't like. So.
No, that was Salazar. Yeah, I thought that could have been red card, but I was okay with a yellow, honestly.
Yeah.
That's fine. I thought he did a good job. I thought that game was well handled.
How did you feel about Ted Uncle in the other decisions? I felt like, obviously, like you, he got the red right, but from my positioning, trying to be both a Seattle fan and a neutral fan, I felt like he got a lot of inconsistent calls for both teams. That not anything egregious, not any crazy game changers, just that what was a foul or what was a yellow card at one point in the game wasn't for another team at another point. Like there wasn't a whole lot of consistent calling from my viewpoint.
There weren't really anything that's. Sorry, that was a terrible sentence. I'm going to try again. There weren't really any moments that super stood out to me as really weird, except maybe that first yellow on
Andy Rose.
Yeah, Andy Rose.
Yeah.
I can see the argument for it being reckless to come in with your studs angled up that way, but I probably wouldn't actually show a yellow card for that, and you probably wouldn't see a yellow card shown for that challenge most of the time.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I didn't think there was anything huge in that game.
All right, well, thank you, Zach. Username More Views On. We'll have you again as more controversial calls come up as our referee correspondent. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks for having me on. You guys have a great day.
Thanks, Zach.
Thanks.
Alrighty.
Sweet. We kept it to a little bit over 10 minutes, I think.
Nice.
Okay, so do you have a timestamp to let Austin know, or are you going to be the timekeeper?
Oh.
Like that. He generally appreciates a heads up when there's going to be splits, so you can tell him, at 12 minutes or whatever, we end our drop-in segment, and then we begin our regular intro at 13 or whatever,
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, let's begin a regular intro then.
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the slashMLS cast. That's right, Chris isn't here today, but I'm going to say slashMLS cast anyway. My name is Pete, username PunkRockPete.
I'm Ian, username Armascarhu.
And I am Josh, Reddit username 97227ist.
What a weekend, guys.
Yeah, it was a good weekend.
The goals returned.
What's
What?
that?
The goals returned.
Yes, the goals return. I took a little perusal through the Reddit thread, the No Spoilers Reddit thread for the MLS Live watchers, and compared to some other weeks this year, it was a whole lot of positive, 7, 8s, and 9s for watching games this week. I thought there was a whole lot of excitement, even if it wasn't because the quality was top-notch.
Yeah, so I've gotten obsessed with these expected goals charts, and I think this is the first weekend in not in MLS history, in 2015 that MLS has scored more goals than they were expected to. So good on you guys.
Good job, guys. You get a goal bonus of gold stars.
Oh man.
Yeah. What could I give somebody as a goal bonus? I'm just trying to think of things. I've got a lot of Easter candy. I could just go next time.
Starbucks gift card.
Here's some leftover Easter candy and a Starbucks gift card. Thank you. With that, you know what my most surprising game of the weekend was Vancouver, LA. That was Are we just going into games that we're talking about?
Just do it. Just do it.
Okay.
That's a great transition as any.
Yeah, okay, good. Because I really, I tuned into that one thinking it was going to be... I mean, I knew that Vancouver were going to be good, but I knew that LA would probably fall off a little bit, but just how different those two teams were. Like, Vancouver looks the real deal. They are really good. And... and they seem to do the thing that teams, how they always talk about like teams that win when they're playing kind of badly. Like I actually thought that last week when Portland was visiting Vancouver, that Portland pretty comprehensively outplayed Vancouver, with the exception of like in just what they did to get the ball into shooting positions. Like they didn't do a good job on that. But everywhere else, I felt like Vancouver got outplayed, but they still won because they took their chances and they were really tough defensively and didn't let Portland get, there were a couple of fairly golden opportunities that either Waston or Ka shut down or instead just made great saves, and they seem to be a team that's going to grind out results even when they're not doing particularly well. This week, I just thought they looked really sharp, and, like Kekuta Mane is like 19, and you could he had all these moments last season when he would just start to blossom up, and you could see him turning into a really good player. I think. Or no, he's 20 now, I guess, but he's got a bright future ahead of him. They've got with the Uruguayan guys, and then they really solid backline pairing. I can't believe I'm saying that about Pamadou Ka because I fucking watched him do some of the least sane things I've ever watched a center back do. Yet he looks, maybe Waston is just like, if you screw up, I will kick your ass. Because Waston is a terrifying looking man.
Terrifying.
But, yeah.
So I'm curious if this Waston-Ka pairing is sustainable. I've seen this happen before, where two defenders who are either hyper aggressive or just are mostly league average come together and become really good for 1 year, or like half of a year, and then that's it, and then they go back to being average, and then their team kind of sucks again. That happened with us in 2012 with Brandon McDonald and Dejan Jakovic.
I'm gonna take issue with calling Waston average. I'll give it to you for Cobb, but I think what you're getting at is something that I've seen as well, which is a good center back paired with an average center back can turn out great results, i.e. Marshall and Scott last year, because. Zach Scott had the best year of his career by a long shot. He'll never play like that again. He just paired well with Chad Marshall at the right time for the Sounders, and I think, you might be seeing the same thing right now, because I agree with you. I do not think it's sustainable over 34 games.
The other thing that's interesting about Ka is that he, like in the second half of 2013 when he came in, he was paired with Fuddy Danso, who doesn't even play in the league anymore. I mean, he was pretty below par. Yeah. And the two of them had a great defensive record together, but it, as we saw in 2014, it didn't last. So I have no idea.
Railhawks now.
Oh, he is? Okay. Well, so yeah, he's a great guy. He always seemed like a really, really nice guy, but he's not an MLS quality defender. And frankly, a lot of last season, Ka also did not look like an MLS quality defender. So you never know what he's going to do. But if the two of them continue to play like the way they're playing, they're both big, they're both really physical, and they're both pretty smart positionally. They don't get caught out all that much. It stands the Caps in really good stead if those guys can hold on to playing the way that they're playing.
I am about to look this up because I don't want to make a statement that is stupid and not backed up by things that are real, but I do feel like we could run into trouble with Vancouver with Waston and Ka both being red card potential.
I was going to bring that up while you were looking up whatever it was that you were going to look up. What's the over/under on Ka red cards this year?
Oh my God! It's got to be at least. It's got to be at least 2. It's got to be at least 2.
Yeah.
There's no way.
And I'm taking the over.
He's gonna go 2. He's also gonna miss a couple games because of yellow card accumulation. Because I'm pretty sure he's gotten one in every game so far. And I mean, another thing, like Matthias Lavas sitting in front of those two does take a lot of the pressure off of them. Like Ka seems to be the kind of guy who makes a dumb tackle when he's under pressure. And one thing that Vancouver have done a pretty good job at is making sure that people aren't running at them with the ball. I mean, it's one of the reasons why Portland was knocking in so many crosses against them, in LA as well, LA had one shot on target that whole game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty. That just means people are not getting in position to make a shot,
Yeah,
and that's
James
not the kind of
was
thing that
absolutely-
backs do. That's the thing that people. That's the thing that happens in front of the backs, and Vancouver is defending really well as a unit.
James was completely frustrated by the amount of crossing that LA was doing, and you're absolutely right. It's because they were being stymied and not being able to play their typical game.
Yep. So
I think Vancouver absolutely deserves to be in the title race, as we discussed at the beginning of the season. I feel very good about that prediction. Very good in the it's nice to be right, and very bad in the why the hell is the West exactly as bad as we expected it to be.
Yeah, because they were one of the teams who I was hoping would kind of fuck up. So maybe Portland.
Right. We were like, oh, they're going to look really good, but maybe they won't. Well, they do.
Yeah.
Well, at least Portland, you guys are better than LA. It looks. And Kansas City.
Look, you can't judge LA until like June, July. You never can.
Yeah, they just don't care.
That's true, but
it's not summer. It's not summer. Bruce doesn't care.
They will win 3/4 of the second half of their season. So you just gotta ride it out and see what they end up doing then.
So, all right, I looked up Kendall Waston. He only had 5 yellow cards last year.
Ka's gonna earn 5. Ka's gonna earn 5 every 6 games. So
Ka had 7 yellows and 1 red in 2013. And
he was only on the team for a half a season.
And only 5 yellows last year without any reds.
Wasn't he sitting on the bench though?
He did get benched a lot. Yeah.
He played 20 games.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. That's okay. Well, that's surprising. I thought his ratio was worse, but.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well. Yeah, Vancouver looking solid. He's gotten 2 yellow cards so far in the 4 games he's played. So
my thing with Vancouver on the good side is so last year they had a pretty good midfield. They had Pedro Morales and they had Lava still, but they didn't really have anybody who was consistently finishing. Like Kakuna Mane was okay. Darren Maddox scored sometimes. So they were a very high variance team, obviously, because sometimes they would go and win in Seattle, and sometimes they would not score against Colorado. I think that happened in literally 2 consecutive weeks to end the season. Now they have a finisher. Now they have that final piece that the midfield can funnel the balls to, and it's working out really well. And I don't want to play them this year ever.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am not stoked about watching Portland play them 3 times because they seem to do pretty well against Portland. I mean, despite dropping a home game every now and again, they seem to do pretty well against Portland in Portland. And
to follow up on your earlier point, Josh, about them losing when they looked poorly, beating Portland and not looking as the best team is not the first time they've done it this year. I believe it was Orlando that they played. They had a pretty rough game and still pulled 3 points out. I mean,
yeah, they did a DC. Which we will come on to later.
We can get to it now. It's the first game of the weekend.
Hey!
Ew.
I watched the entire game. I didn't watch it in English because the English commentators are so bad. And
no.
God, listen, you snob.
Hold on, listen. I know there's been hate train for the English Unamas guys, but I'm coming around to them. I'm coming around because
Stockholm Syndrome?
No, because they have a unique sound that we aren't hearing from any other commentators. The guy is legitimately excited to be watching the game where he's yelling, "Shoot it, Kaká, shoot it!" And that's the commentator. That's fantastic.
So
that does actually kind of line up with how the Spanish language commentators commentate. So maybe they're like, "Look, you two, I know you're speaking English, but here's how we do it around here, Unimas."
So my problem with this is there already exists a commentator who does this a lot better, and he's the commentator that we discovered collectively at the U.S. Open Cup last year, the home commentator of the Laredo Heat, a 4th division side who basically does that but a lot better. And he actually, when he speaks in English, it doesn't sound awkward when he's translating it from Spanish in his mind. The phrases just sound a lot more awkward with this English Unimas guy, and the Radio Heat guy did a really good job with it. So that's That's the only problem that I have. And
They're
I just
3 games in. Give them some time.
yeah, whatever. I'll think about it. And I'm trying to learn Spanish too, so there's that. So I might just watch them in Spanish anyway.
Yeah.
That said, trying to expand my horizons, Pete. Come on. No, but yeah, it was a fun game, I guess.
Fun game, I guess. Yeah, you only got to watch a 91st minute winner. That must suck.
I mean, it's just at this point, it's amusing how we get to just win all these games without outplaying anybody. It's at this. There's something weird happening because we've been doing this for a whole year now. That's what we started doing last year, where those expected goals things were undervaluing us. We were outperforming them, and I thought, oh, maybe it's just something that we're doing, something that the expected goals model isn't catching. No, we're just weird.
That's San Jose 2012. That's exactly what that is.
I think it is exactly what it is, yeah.
It's a team getting outplayed that manages to steal points. Like, it's a thing that happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I would be really impressed if DC 2015 manages to become as hated as San Jose 2012.
Oh, that's never going to happen.
That would be amazing. They could do it. They could do it. Possible.
They don't have enough hateable players. Eddie Johnson's not playing. Like,
one of them could just crank it up. Somebody.
But that's the thing about 2012 San Jose. It's not just the success on the field. You have to be a dirtbag.
Yeah. No, I know. Look, demonic possession could be a real thing, and therefore one of them could become Lenhart 2015. Yeah, it could happen. It could happen.
De Leon can grow the right style hair, so.
Hey, don't you mess with my boy.
Hey, now! Don't bring up that hair. Oh, God.
So we won. It was awesome.
There's nothing else to say about that game. No, we didn't learn anything about that game.
No, other than we just
do you fear like a regression to the mean kind of thing where like generally when you get outplayed you lose? Are you worried about that, or do you feel like you guys?
I'm not worried because we're in the East, so we're gonna make the playoffs. It doesn't matter. We've already clinched the playoff.
That's so valid. It's pissing me off because it's so correct. Oh. Yeah, no, you pretty much have a playoff spot at this point. Like, it's yours to lose.
Yeah.
That's. Oh. What about Orlando? How are we feeling about them as a team?
They seem unlucky. I'll go for unlucky. And as a man who supports another team that is frequently not lucky, I don't know if I would call them unlucky because a lot of it is their own making, but I do kind of feel for those guys. You're like, we got a point. Oh shit, we got nothing. There's like that moment at the end where you're just like holding your bladder. You're like. You're like, you just got to hold on for like 2 more minutes, and they can at least feel okay about this. And then, nope.
Well, we will definitely be talking about that a little bit later in the podcast. There is another team, I think, that got it even worse than Orlando, but we will get there.
Yeah. No, tell them now. Tell us now. I don't want to wait.
You don't want to wait to hear about how Philly looked like, oh my God, they're not going to be a basement team. They're in Kansas City and they're playing well and they're shooting and balls are falling for them and everything's working out. And Kansas City can't buy a goal at the end. They're getting every goal they score waved off. And now it's extra time and somehow Philly is going to march out of Kansas City with 3 points. Okay, well, they're going to march out with 1 point. That's deserved. That's okay, none. They get 0.
None. 92nd minute goal, 94th minute goal.
Oh.
Like, Rizamboli, it boggles the mind that he is the starter for a team that
has 5 goalies.
No. Like, Algeria was good in the World Cup. They gave Germany a game, That was a great game. And to think like that's the same man who was on that team boggles the mind. I can't believe it. He just. I don't know what it was. I have seen things like that because I watch all the Portland games, but.
So I know exactly what it was. I talked to one of the Soccernomics authors a couple weeks ago, and in that book, I just had to plug that. I'm sorry. And in that book, the things that he talks about, or that they both talk about, is how players get overpaid after performances in major tournaments. And Raisa Mboli was coming off a performance in a major tournament, which was probably more than his standard. And Philly paid that price. Philly overpaid, way overpaid, and now they're seeing what they're getting. So he's like, that World Cup performance was represented a lot more than who he actually is, in all likelihood. He's definitely not a $500,000 keeper. But congratulations, Philly. You have a $500,000 keeper who is probably a bottom 3 keeper. And you have, it's really too bad.
I don't think he's a bottom 3 keeper.
I do. Look at goals minus expected goals. He's already got a plus 1.3 in that. That's really bad.
But you can't lay that just entirely on him. Philly has not given him the support, and Philly is not a team where you're like, well, you've got really great stuff in front of you, so it's obviously your fault. He's got some pretty dodgy defending going on right in front of him.
Well, yeah, but that's what the expected goals covers, and then the rest is he lets the rest of them in. Philly's just a terrible, like, across the board, I think, which is kind of sad because their talent suggests that they shouldn't be, but whatever. Like, they're one of those teams. They're one of those teams preseason that we thought could make a playoff run, right? They're like, the talent's there. So,
yeah. Well, do you think they've got any prospect of turning it around? Are they going to win a game?
They'll win a game. They get to play teams like. They still have Colorado on their schedule. No, they don't. They already played Colorado. They tied.
Not only did they tie, it was a scoreless tie.
Yeah.
So never mind.
Okay. Well,
they'll win at some point. It's very unlikely.
They're gonna beat a team that's on a losing streak. They can beat Orlando when Orlando's having a bad week. They can
beat us having a bad week.
They can beat Chicago. Chicago's not gonna look as good as they did this week every week.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
hey, should we talk about Chicago? Should we talk about Chicago for a second?
Let's talk about Chicago for a second.
Austin, can you just loop in that fire chant, or the one where they just yell fire, fire for like.
So while Josh is talking,
20.
I'm just going to assume that's happening, Austin. So just make that happen, and Josh, tell us about the fire.
They won a game! Oh my God! I'm so happy for them.
They won another game. They won last week too.
Okay, but they won another game, and this one I thought
against
actually,
a real team.
Was against a real team.
Yeah, against a real team. No offense, other team. No offense, but yeah, no, they beat Toronto. Toronto, who everybody was predicting amazing things for because they've splashed out a whole lot of money, and yet once again they seemed like Toronto. In all fairness to them, I thought actually,
They didn't play like shit. They played fine.
Yeah, I thought they played okay. Yeah. It wasn't like really amazing or anything, but they had a lot of the ball, right? Chicago were just kind of waiting for Toronto to come forward and then springing it on them. That was my take on things, and it it seemed like it worked really well.
Well, so you say that again, Toronto splashed cash and they looked good but not as good as they should. I feel like we keep waiting for Toronto to look like Vancouver did this weekend. With the talent and the money that's been spent, I want to see them just play a perfect game just once. It doesn't even have to be against the Galaxy. Just play a perfect game where you look completely in control and, own the game front to back.
Well, they did that against Vancouver week 1, but they haven't done it since.
Yeah.
And we should remember that they're playing their first several games on the road. They still haven't played a home game yet, and they're
true.
They're 1-3. Their big problem is, and I hate saying this, but I really don't. They have a center back problem. They went out and they spent so much money on midfielders, and their starting center backs are Damian Perkey and Stephen Caldwell. And one of those guys is fine. The other one guy kind of sucks. And
no, man, Justin Morrow and Hagelund. Haglund.
Right. Haglund didn't play.
Right. Not. Yeah, he did.
He's not a center back though.
He plays center back.
I don't. Well,
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it was. I'm okay. I'm second guessing myself.
Yeah.
But I think it was Kirkian. Either way,
It was.
whoever their center backs
Look,
are.
they're not good, okay? Whoever they are, we
Exactly.
obviously don't know their names because they're not good. And if they were better, we'd remember their goddamn names. So
Thank
get
you.
better, and we'll remember who you are.
And another flagrant yellow for offensive
Flagrant
broadcast contact.
You know what? That team has so much money and so many financial resources that I know that their fans are very good fans and they're long-suffering fans, but at the same time, like, they've got, like, crazy money. You know, like, that team should be better, and I feel not entitled, but I don't feel bad about mocking them just because they're spending so much on so many high-profile players, and it doesn't seem to be coming together. So but I like people from Toronto. They're generally really nice.
Yeah, we absolutely should be hating that team for buying championships, and it's just not happening. or
It
even
hasn't happened
buying
yet,
their
yeah.
way into the playoffs would be a good start.
Yeah. Oh.
We'll see.
guys.
We'll see. It's the East, and there's an extra spot this year. I still think they make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what about Chicago though? I argued in our group text that I think they only need to take over. Like, they're already better than Montreal and Philly and Orlando probably. So there's only one team left that they have to vault to get to the playoffs. Who is it? Is it going to happen? I think so.
Red Bulls.
Really?
Red Bulls.
I'm just picking a team. I don't care. It's the East. It's just a fucking crapshoot. Who cares?
Wow. Watch the Sounders make it to the final, and some team from the East just smokes them, and then
Oh.
Like
and then
Chicago.
we'll all be like, "Hey,
they
Pete,
get revenge
Pete,
for the
if
Open
Chicago beats the Sounders in the Cup,
Cup in Seattle.
oh fuck, in Seattle, I will not drink a shot glass of my own urine, but I won't be happy.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't make bets like that. You know what kind of bets I do make? Cash bets for the first time in my life, and
Oh,
do
yeah. How
very,
did that
very
go?
poorly.
Oh.
Bad.
Oh.
Real bad, guys. Real bad.
Did you bet on the U.S. beating Switzerland?
No, I bet on Toronto beating Chicago.
That
And-
did seem like a likely bet.
Especially for the odds. Like, as a guy who's not much of a gambler and stuff, like, they were giving pretty good odds that Toronto would not win that game, and I was like, I'll take that money. That sounds good to me.
Yeah,
And-
apparently they knew something you didn't.
You know what? These odds makers, I feel like they're fairly good at their jobs.
Yeah, could it be a fix? It's a conspiracy. There's no way. Look at all the money Toronto spent. There's no way they should have. Do you remember last year? It's like some guy, this is a little inside Reddit talk, but some guy said, if Toronto doesn't win the Supporter Shield, I will post a video of myself eating my own feces. And I remember people had him tagged. They were like, all right, dude. You said that.
Good luck with that.
He did not
And-
show back up to make good on that one.
Oh, he didn't just not show back up. About 2/3 of the way through the season, that account was deleted.
Yeah, that's a good...
Just a disappearing act. I'm hoping that it's somebody that we know. I'm hoping that, it's someone who rose to prominence after that in a different name. Like,
Oh, I thought you meant somebody we actually knew, like Chris.
No. I mean, I hope it's a famous MLS Redditor who
Oh, yeah.
who has risen to prominence under another name, and it's someone that we can play a guessing game about who we think it's going to be.
Oh, my God.
It could be let's see, who has been active recently but hasn't been around a long time.
Jermaine Defoe comes to mind. He scored a real great goal in the
Not players, Josh.
Tyne-Ware Derby. Oh, what? Oh, wouldn't it be great if it was Jermaine Defoe? Oh,
If Toronto doesn't win this award,
and then 2/3 of the way through the season, he's like, I'm out of here.
fuck this.
Yeah, this is done. Going back to England. Good. Well, that's my insane thing that I said for the week out of the way.
What other games do you guys want to talk about?
I was gonna say, speaking of bets like that, Josh, your team got you closer to fulfilling that bet.
It's yeah. I mean, they got me closer. They're as close as Chicago.
No, they're not, because they play in the West.
Yeah, that's true. They're further than Chicago. They're as close as Colorado. They're not much further away than Colorado is. Yeah, they. I mean, it was weird. Like, we were talking about this in the chat, but I was saying that I actually thought that Portland played a better game against Vancouver than they did against Dallas. But the situations were reversed this time, where Dallas just couldn't seem to get shots on target. Just couldn't seem to quite, get things linked up well enough to be able to get good looks on goal. And Portland did. When they did, they took their chances. That last goal, that goal for 3-1, was pretty comical, though. That was just the thing about Diego Chara that I love is that I've watched him in that situation. I can think of 2 separate times, once against Houston and once against New England way back in the day, where in the exact same situation he put it a couple yards wide. And it just, I was having such vivid flashbacks to that. And I was even sitting in a bar with a friend of mine. I was like, watch, he's going to sky it. He's just going to totally mess this up. And I was even laughing, and then it went in, and my friend was like, you're a kind of a dick. And it's like, well, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I thought that they did enough. They certainly kept Castillo quiet, which I did not expect to happen.
Me neither, Josh. Spoiler alert, this is the other game I lost money betting on.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I expected Castillo to really tear it up, but Alvis Powell seems to be learning how to play the game of soccer better, because he was on Castillo like white on proverbial rice, and he is really fast. I mean, he was always like pretty dumb, but he was really fast, and he seems to be getting smart. I don't mean dumb like, reading and writing and, basic
arithmetic,
math skills. I'm sure he's good at calculus, but he just seemed to lack a lot of positional awareness, and he seems to be getting that, and he is pretty consistently the fastest man on the. I can't think of many people I've seen on the field around MLS that are faster than him. He hasn't been putting it to good use, but he seems to be starting to do that, and that bodes well. So yeah, it was kind of a sloppy, weird game, but it was encouraging to see Portland put a couple of goals away
and beat the best team in MLS. I think that's encouraging too, right?
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
Although I'm starting to believe less that Dallas is the best team, and that it might be Vancouver, at least right now. I mean, they keep getting it done. They're looking better and better. We'll see how the next few weeks shake out, but man, I'm really scared of Vancouver, guys.
Yeah. Vancouver seems to control games even when they're not doing particularly well in the way that Dallas doesn't.
Right.
Like, Dallas does control the ball pretty well in Akindele and Michel and Castillo. Like, they've got some nice interplay with him. Zach Lloyd is a pretty tidy passer, but it's not the same thing you see against Vancouver, where even when Vancouver are just, not getting very much of the ball, when they do get it, like.
Not to get too deep into another sport, but Dallas kind of reminds me of Brett Favre. Like, they are a gunslinger team. Like, they're just going to go balls to the wall, and like 65-70% of the time, they're going to burn you, and it's going to work out really well. And then another 30%, they're going to throw interceptions and lose because of their their method of playing. So I think that they don't have that level of control that you're talking about, because they just kind of like are purely an attacking team. They are just they're going to beat you by scoring more goals than you, not because they're a shutdown team.
Yeah.
I mean, any team that's fielding Michel in a reasonably defensive position is not that concerned about defense.
Incidentally, Dallas will get to settle this argument on August 22nd when they play Vancouver. And then a couple months later, when they play Vancouver back-to-back on October 7th and October 10th.
I was going to say, there's 3 games between those teams, and the first one's not till August?
Yeah. The magic of MLS scheduling. Yeah. Well, you could imagine when somebody was doing the scheduling, they're like, we'll just get this one out of the way. Though there's actually pretty good history between those teams. At least the fan bases do seem to genuinely
They played in the playoffs last year.
Yep, but I mean, even before that, there was all this weird stuff where they were sending, like, the respective front offices were making, like, taunting videos for the other, you know. You remember that? It was like talking, like, Dallas made a video about Vancouvering, which was diving, and then.
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that the
Speaking of taunting, did you guys see on the subreddit the LA Galaxy's poster for the upcoming game with the Sounders?
No.
I'm taking your blank stares as a no. It's on the subreddit right now, and you know, I really like the idea of these individual match posters. It kind of reminds me of like the '90s and like when concert posters were still a big deal. Like, you know, if you were gonna have, I don't know who was big in the '90s, Korn and Metallica.
Of all the stuff you could pull from the '90s, like some of the worst stuff from the '90s too.
That's what I'm going for. Yeah, well, you know, Seattle was a wholly different story. But the concert poster idea of like, you know, hey, this is the time in history where this concert is going to be taking place with these bands at this location. It's not like you had a poster that was the same in San Francisco as it was in Seattle. It was a different poster every time. And so we're kind of seeing that rising in the MLS, that, you know, we have these match posters. And, man, the Galaxy is not pulling any punches because they just made a poster for the game with the Sounders, and literally the only thing the poster is a hand with 5 championship rings, and it says first to 5. Like, that's about as direct as it's going to get.
Yep.
It's weird that they did that.
Why?
What?
No,
I mean, yes,
for your game and not for our game.
Yeah, but we have 5 championships and you only have 4 doesn't pack quite the punch as we have 5 championships and you have none. You know, like, that's not quite the same level. But it stung a little bit, but I'm impressed.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, boxing posters, too. And there's something about that. Yeah, it's just commemorating the event. I mean, it's interesting because I like, there's a couple like LA, and I think Seattle does as well. They have, like, somebody from the front office designs the posters, right?
Yeah.
Like, official. And then everybody else, just like random fans, have started to pick up on it. Be like, wait a minute, we should do that. They're like coming along. It's good.
I think San Jose's front office might be doing it too, but not every match. Like, maybe only for the California Classicos or.
Yeah, I'm surprised Portland's doesn't do it, mostly just because it's yet another way for them to potentially make money off their fan base. And if there's one thing I've learned about them, they'll buy anything. They'll buy just anything. Like, some of the shit. Yeah. Oh, wait, there's one thing we didn't talk about, not to go back to a game that we already talked about, but what about Oscar Pereira handing Caleb Porter a used napkin, or tissue? Sorry, a new used tissue.
All right. Josh, that's all you.
I don't even know what to say. Honestly, like, there are a lot of people, like, it's a very rude, weird thing for Oscar Pereira to do. It's also Caleb Porter's response to it was kind of like you expect, because you get the vibe he's a bit of a dick. Not a huge dick, but he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
And like, I knew when I saw Pereira, like, handing him that, I was like, he's gonna do something kind of dickish. And then, sure enough, he was just like, look at the scoreboard. You know, he's kind of snide about it.
Were you there?
No, I wasn't there. No, I was watching none on bar. But it was so weird. I love that it happened because it's the kind of weird stuff that, like, makes the stories and makes the narrative of the game so much richer and better. But that was weird. Like, I don't even know what to make of it. And it's weird because a lot of Portland fans are like, "Oh, I'm glad he, you know, I think he said, look at the scoreboard, bitch," and all of a sudden you're like, no, the man never swears, you know, like, he probably said, like, pal or buddy or something similarly, kind of like dad-ish, but
like that condescending way of saying buddy, like, look at the scoreboard, buddy.
Yeah, so, I don't know, neither of those guys covered themselves in glory, but Oscar Pereira, I mean, that was just bizarre.
I loved it. I loved every second of it from both sides. Because exactly like you said, I love I love the narrative and the rivalry that it adds. Like just
Yeah.
one more little bit of history of like, hey, you guys are gonna play 2 more times this year, and it's
I
gonna
know.
be spectacular.
I know. I'm telling you though, Oscar Pereira, like I can think of a lot of managers that he would go do that to who would punch him. So just not too many people in MLS because most of them in MLS are like, pretty nice. John Spencer, I bet if you did that to John Spencer, he would have decked him.
I feel like Jay Heaps might be the kind of guy that get a little hot-headed and.
Ben Olsen, 100%.
Yeah, Ben Olsen. Petke, I could see trying to do that to Petke. Petke's just being like, nope, that's it. Like takes his jacket off, takes off his sweater vest. And just,
okay. What other excitement? There's nothing that's going to top TissueGate. By the way, like most people, I hate the fact that Gate gets added onto the end of.
It's the tissue issue?
That's much better. That's much better.
Yeah. So there's really only one other game of consequence, the Colorado game. They can't score.
They can't buy a goal. They cannot pay for a goal.
Literally, anyway.
Well, they're not really trying to pay for goals. If they wanted to, they should be more like Toronto in that method. But
well, apparently they're not gonna buy somebody from Barcelona, according to this MLS notification that I just got. So good for them, or not good, whatever. I don't care.
Maybe that's where Zlatan was going. Colorado. Makes perfect sense. Big market team.
Yeah. It's sad because they're like they seem like one of the most forgotten franchises in the league. They won the MLS Cup in 2010.
Yeah, but they're also like the most agreed upon team that should not have won the cup. Like in a year of who was the best team in 2010, Colorado might make it into the top 5.
Yeah, but it's still like they've got enough history there that you would think somebody would care, and there do seem to be some fans, but the attendance is pretty anemic. It seems like they've got very little presence in the local market. The ownership seems really checked out. The team seems fairly disinterested. I mean, the most interesting thing about them is Mastroianni's mustache, which is a fine mustache, I gotta say, but that's not really enough to carry a whole franchise.
And he pairs it with a bow tie. I mean, he's going. We've said it before, but he's really going for that like villain tying someone to the railroad tracks look.
Yeah,
like,
so I thought of it if Wes Anderson directed a soccer movie, that's what he's supposed to look like.
That's also probably what their team would play like, because it'd be a Wes Anderson movie. Like, sad, woe-begotten, like, oh, we tried.
Owen Wilson and Ed Norton would be the strikers, and they just Bill Murray's the keeper, because you can have old keepers,
Oh, wow.
All right, we might have to write a post about this.
I know, we should write this up. I was going to say, we should write this script up, somebody.
So speaking of Colorado and things that happened at that game.
Yeah, there was something of consequence that happened.
Yes. Oh, the raccoon.
And we're gonna pull the raccoon.
The raccoon is not what we were referring to.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the raccoon.
We're gonna go to our raccoon expert right now to tell us about the raccoon that was spotted. Ian, you're from DC. You're our resident raccoon expert.
So instead of any of that happening, we're going to kick it to a serious referee expert who has thoughts on things that happened that may or may not have been controversial in that soccer game. Didn't have much to do with raccoons. Maybe it did. Maybe the referee got distracted. Who knows? But yeah, that will happen right now.
Mark the time, Ian. Mark the time.
Oh, wow.
We're at 54.
Don't tell me, you have to tell Austin.
Oh, right.
Write it down, put it on a sticky note, put it in an email.
53-48. Right. Roll predictions and then out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do we miss any games that were major? Like, we don't need to talk about Seattle-Houston. We probably don't need to talk about... we talked about KC-Philly, which is good. Yeah, we don't need to talk about San Jose RSL. Well, good. That'll give us a second to think about bold predictions instead of hemming and hawing on the air like we always do.
Oh, let me go look at who's playing this week.
Yeah, that's a good plan.
Things that are helpful. All right.
Oh, don't we have CCL tomorrow?
We do have CCL tomorrow.
Alajuelense! I can't believe that they are as far along as they are. Alajuelense that's a Costa Rican team. That's crazy.
Wait. It's them that you can't believe is as far along as they are, and not Montreal.
Oh yeah, that too. The whole thing. The whole thing is.
It's a ridiculous year. It's a ridiculous year.
And Herediano is another Costa Rican team, and they're 3-0 up on Club America.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on. It seems like the Mexican teams are just like, hey, did you know we can get into Libertadores? Fuck this thing. Like, let's just not bother anymore. Like, I don't understand. They seem to be playing so poorly. Like, yeah. Montreal could very, very easily, unless they completely screw it up, could very easily end up in a final, and they could very easily end up in a final against Herediano, who, they're not that good. They're just not that great. I don't know how Club America doesn't win that game by a healthy margin. I don't know how even going and playing in Costa Rica, like, I just don't understand it. The Mexican teams have exponentially more money. Well, okay, that's an exaggeration, but they have a lot more money than Costa Rican teams or any MLS team.
They have literally a amount more money.
Yeah, they have a linear amount. Okay, yeah, so it's a linear curve. Fine, whatever, math majors. But yeah, what?
I said it was a physics major, not a math major. Why aren't we having this on the air?
We are on the air. We're recording this.
Oh.
Did you stop recording?
No, I didn't stop recording.
Why are we having this conversation?
These meta conversations are definitely what people are tuning in for.
I
know. We haven't come back from the interview yet.
Ian, mark the time. I'll bring us back in.
Okay. 56:35 or 38. Wait, hold on.
Okay, you have to stop talking so I can do it, though.
Okay.
All right, once again, that was Zach the ref. We're going to try to keep him around and having segments as often as possible to discuss controversial calls. So thanks again, Zach, for being here. All right, guys. Big weekend coming up. Not only do we have CCL matches tomorrow night, but we also have, I believe, our first midweek MLS game. I don't think that we've had a Wednesday game yet, and this week we've got Vancouver and Columbus.
That is going to be a tasty game.
I'm really
excited for it. Because those are two like solid teams that I think play a really attractive game and have a lot of intelligent players on. I think that's going to be. I can't think of anything else coming up that. Well, LA Seattle is going to be pretty. Could be spicy. DC New York, but still, I think just on the level of like where the two teams have been at.
Yep.
Vancouver Columbus has got to be.
This is a damn good weekend of soccer.
It is a good week of soccer. It really is.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But we've also got the CCL coming up, both tomorrow and Wednesday, which could potentially see both a Colombian team and a Canadian team. Costa Rican, and hey, it's not like
who let them in here.
Yeah, I know. Costa Rican and Canadian team in the final, which I think would just signify how little Liga MX teams care about CCL anymore now that they can get into Libertadores, where they're actually doing really well, which is sad for me for reasons that are not in the purview of this podcast. But Montreal up on Alajuelense. Okay, fine.
That's why I don't attempt it. I'll let you guys handle that.
It's really small font. I know. I only lived in Spanish-speaking countries for a few years. I feel like I should. They don't do stuff like this, Argentinians. And then Herediano against Club America. Herediano, did anybody watch this game? Ian, did you watch this game where Herediano played Club America? It's great.
Apparently they scored 3 goals and they didn't let in any.
Yeah, they beat them 3-0. I have no idea how that happened. Club America is like one of the top 3 clubs in Mexico. I mean, just in terms of like popularity and.
They're in Mexico City, yeah.
Yeah.
You could even say that they're America's club.
Wow.
Yeah.
How is it that the youngest guy makes the most dad jokes? How
I
does
know,
that
I was
work?
going to say, I got a lot of dad jokiness going on here. That was impressive. But yeah, the Costa Rican team's surprising. Montreal, also very surprising. I do not know
surprising.
how they have done that well.
Is there a bold prediction coming from this, or are we?
Oh, am I supposed to be making a bold prediction?
It's
I'm gonna
that time.
I'm gonna go that Club America overturns their 3-0 deficit.
Okay.
That's pretty bold. I mean, it's not
that's
crazy
bold.
bold, but it's bold.
I'll tell you why. Because Herediano has to go play in the Azteca.
Yep.
Yeah, you could see how that would be a little intimidating and overwhelming. And Club America might realize, like, hey, we could go get into a final, or lose to a team who is several orders of magnitude smaller and less well off financially than us. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna say the year of Costa Rica continues. We're gonna get an all Costa Rican final.
Oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, how bummed out would you be if you're Don Garber? Right? You just like, oh, I guess we didn't need to spend all this time and resources and all this stuff.
Jesus.
More Costa Ricans. Yeah. What do you got, Pete?
Man, this is a good weekend of soccer. I know we're gonna probably cover it a little bit more on Wednesday, but not only do we have Vancouver Columbus as our midweek game, but then Columbus's double week is against New England in New England, so they've got to go on 2 road games against Vancouver and see where New England is. Are they getting back to the form that we expect, or was it just a game against Colorado and that's kind of what happens? We've also got Dallas playing Colorado at home. You've got DC and New York.
That's not going to be a great game. Dallas is going to light Colorado up.
I didn't say it was going to be a great game. I'm just making.
You just said it was going to be a game.
It's going to be a game that will happen. It's one of the few games that won't be amazing. I mean, you've got Kansas City hosting RSL. That's going to be a great game. Vancouver goes into Avaya Stadium for their second game of the week. Portland hosts Orlando. I think there's going to be a ton of eyes on that one. That's an ESPN2 game on Sunday, and then you finish it off that night with LA hosting Seattle. So it's a spectacular next week of soccer, and my bold prediction this week is going to be that Colorado not only scores a goal, but they get a draw in Dallas.
Wow, that is bold.
It's extra bold. That's what we do here. And if history is any indication, in 2 days on our later podcast, I will make the opposite prediction that Dallas is going to crush Colorado, because Ian is now keeping track of things that I say and holding me accountable, and apparently I don't remember things a lot.
Yeah. That's okay.
So
I don't remember things either, like weird bets that I made about drinking my own bodily fluid. No idea.
It's all on here too. Just saying.
Oh God.
Got it all. This document called slashMLS bold predictions. I might even publish it to slashMLS one day.
Let's not do that.
Yeah, let's never do that.
Maybe at the end of the year.
It's like the last minutes after our drunken episode last year. It stays in the vault.
Oh God, never ever. Rachel told me about some of the things that I was saying during that. Never.
Just leave it in the vault.
Just leave it in the vault. I don't even ever want to have to deal with whatever the hell I was saying.
It's still on my computer.
Please, just delete it. Delete it.
All right. Well, I think that's as good a place as any to end this week. Thanks again for listening, guys. We'll see you on our Friday episode, where we will have Ian.
Oh, that's when we're gonna run our interview with Chicago Fire left crap.
Good Lord, Ian.
Fullback.
Fullback, Eric.
Do you want to try again? Should we get Austin to edit that out?
Yes.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do you want to start over? I'll start. Yeah, I'll start over. Well, that's as good a place as any to wrap the week up. So we'll see you all for our Friday edition of the podcast. We've got a special guest, Ian, and that would be
Chicago Fire fullback Eric Garrick, our first ever active MLS player, or at all MLS player, to come onto the podcast. So
that is incredibly exciting. So we'll see you all on Friday. Thanks again.